Hi, this is John Mayfield with Real Estate Sales Meetings, here to talk about this week's meeting on 20 tips to overcome negative thoughts. Now, it's October the 10th, 2008 when I'm recording this meeting, and of course it's been just a roller coaster ride with Wall Street and other kinds of economic bad PR throughout the news media. We have an election coming up, and just everywhere you turn or everything you listen to seems to be bombarding us with bad and negative news and publicity. And so I think it's important for us to remind our agents that negative thoughts can sometimes creep into our lives, and we need to try to flush those negative thoughts out and remain positive, because I believe successful salespeople have a good attitude and are always trying to put positive thoughts in their minds and not negative thoughts. So hopefully this meeting will be beneficial for you and your team to overcome negative thoughts that sometimes want to creep into our minds. Now, the meeting objective, as we just talked about, is to help your team members learn some essential rules for staying positive and how to overcome negative thoughts. Again, I believe staying positive is an essential attribute for all salespeople if they want to be successful. Now, included with the meeting are 20 tips on how to overcome negative thoughts, and those are with your handout materials that you can provide to all of your sales associates. As with most all of our sales meetings that we provide at realestatesalesmeetings.com or easysalesmeetings.com, you do not need to have the PowerPoint slideshow to run the meeting. You can simply run the meeting with handouts, and there's no need to worry about running the PowerPoint slideshow. However, if you like to use PowerPoint or you have a projector, you can also download the PowerPoint that I'm using here to use with your weekly sales meeting. So 20 tips to overcome negative thoughts. I actually took this information from a gentleman off the internet. I thought he had some great information from his blog, and so we're going to talk about 20 tips to overcome negative thoughts. Now, attention management is an essential thing that I think we all should consider or think about. And so I want you to start the meeting with the attention management section. And we actually have 3 laws of attention management. First of all, attention is a limited resource. Secondly, attention is self-reinforcing. And finally, remember that more is better. Now, you can go through each one of these laws of attention management with your group and just kind of cover those and talk about those with the group at hand. I think they're very essential points on attention management that your team needs to understand and think about, because as this final attention management rule says, the more we pay attention to something, the more we will achieve, for better or for worse. And I think it's ironic, and if you've ever studied or looked at the power of focus, the law of attraction, focus is indeed very powerful. We have a much higher chance to achieve something if we focus on it. And the idea here is to get your team members to think about positive things and not negative things. So we have a group breakout, and what I want you to do, and I have in your detailed talking points outline, is to allow your team to get into small groups, and I want you to give them a few minutes to really think about ways they as individuals overcome negative thoughts. Now, if you're in a small office and there's only 4, 5, or 6 of you, you can do this as one collective group, and as the team comes up with ideas, list those points on your flip chart and talk about them with the group. Now, if you're in a larger office and you've allowed your team members to get into small groups, give them a few minutes and then assign someone to be a group spokesperson and someone to report back to the main group as a whole. After a few moments, get the groups to convene together and have a spokesperson from each team give several tips that they came up with on how to overcome negative thoughts, and then list those on your flip chart and debrief and talk about those with your group. You have to remember, when you're working with adult learners, they like to take ownership in solving problems. People like to get involved in sales meetings, and I think it's very important to allow this type of activity to go on from time to time, because they don't want to just listen to you speak. They want to be involved and help solve the problem. So this is a group breakout to actually let your team members help others learn to come up with ways to overcome negative thoughts. Now, as I noted with the handout, we have 20 more ideas that you can go over. This is optional depending on time, and you can go through these by providing the handout and going over each one with the group as time permits. And again, that's an optional handout. And by the way, on the previous group breakout session, be sure and tell your team that your goal is to try to get 20 various ideas on ways to overcome negative thoughts. Now, to close your meeting, I have a neat little story I found about Scottish minister Alexander White. And he was known for his uplifting prayers and sermons from the pulpit. He gained a reputation for always finding something to be grateful for. One Sunday morning, the weather was damp, rainy, and gloomy outside. One less than positive member of the congregation thought to herself, well, certainly Reverend White can't think of anything for which to be thankful for on a crummy day like this. Well, much to her surprise, however, White began the service by praying, "Thank you, God, for a brand new day, and that it is not always like this." That's a great way to close the meeting, to just tell your group that it's attitude. We've always got to find good ways to overcome negative thoughts and negative thinking. You have a closing quote here from Foster's Law: "The only people who find what they are looking for in life are the fault finders." Well, if you like this meeting, we'd love to have you as a member at realestatesalesmeetings.com. You can go out, join our meeting. We provide a detailed talking points outline for you as the manager salesperson or leader of the group. Also normally have handouts for your group. We usually have a PowerPoint that you can download and use. If you don't like today's meeting, there's always plenty of other meetings you can go out, choose from, and download. And if you're a general business and you want some motivational content like this particular meeting, check us out at easysalesmeetings.com. We'd love to have you as a member. Thanks for watching this week's meeting on 20 tips to overcome negative thoughts.